Ready? Here we go.
Yep.
All right. Happy Friday,
Everybody.
I'm gonna pull this up on my phone. We'll give everyone just a minute to log on.
111, 111. Make a wish, right? I don't know. Is that what they say?
Oh yeah.
1111.
1111 make a wish.
But 111.
But here in Delaware, it's 2. So for those of you
that's
who don't,
right.
I was
Sorry.
like, what is she talking about? For those of you who don't know, we have a lot of new members in the group this week, which is exciting. But for those of you who don't know, I am Lisa.
And I am Leslie.
And I'm in Delaware. So the first state, Leslie is over in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. So you say it funny. I don't.
Well, we're the first state. So we actually don't have accents. It's everybody else that does. So we set the standard.
Yep.
Just kidding. Just kidding. But we're so glad that everybody is here. We're going to give people a minute to tune in and jump on. So as you are jumping on, let us know where you're
from.
Yeah, let us know where you're from. And as always, we love when you guys interact with us, engage with us, comment, post, ask questions, whatever. We do these coaching calls for you. And as you guys know, we get the content from our coaching calls from you guys. We always go with our most frequently asked questions for the week to get our coaching calls. So Chelsea is watching from New Hampshire. Hey, Chelsea.
Happy is Wisconsin.
We got some Wisconsiners. Mm-hmm. Sarah's on. Sarah just joined the group today. Hi, Sarah.
What'd you say? No, I said I hate that we sound nasally.
I don't think you sound nasally.
Yeah, we do.
All right. So we are, as we said, for those of you just jumping on, let us know where you're tuning in from, interact with us, ask questions, comment, whatever. These are calls for you guys to answer your most asked. All right. So let's give them today's topic. Today, we had this question. We actually have this question come up quite a lot. And we talk to women on a daily basis about this one particular topic because it is such a hot topic. So many people struggle with this one topic. Okay. Shelly's watching from Arizona. I love seeing where everybody's from. So fun. We are talking about emotional eating today. And call it what you want. You can call it comfort eating. You can call it stress eating. You can call it emotional eating, whatever floats your boat, whatever term you want to use. That is what we are talking about today. So,
times when you're upset with your results or if you get on, that's why the scale's deadly. You're upset with your results, you're ostrich. You're just like, I'm just going to go have the cupcake or the candy because you're upset. That would be in this category as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you're an emotional eater, let us know. Raise your hand, put an emoji in or something. Feel free to share the last time you just stress ate and how that went for you. Because so many of us are stressed.
Your internet is staggering. Lisa.
I know for me, just Lisa? An example of my.
Okay, did you fix your internet? You froze for a second, then it was staggered.
It's talking too fast. I'm going to talk slow.
No,
I'm switching internets now.
Okay, yes, switch. Sorry, we rarely. Let me rephrase that. We often have technology issues, not due to just this internet issue sometimes.
Okay, switch servers. Now I should be more clear in just a second.
You're okay right now.
Okay, perfect. It's connected now.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, goodness gracious. Technology is so fun. Our technology issues. Internet is always my thing here. I don't get the best internet here, but it is what it is. Chelsea, Libby, we got some stress eaters here. And I think even if we're not typically stress eaters, I think a lot of us can relate to that in certain situations, in certain circumstances. Like I know for me, when I was working out of the house, now this is what we do full time. Chelsea said, oh gosh, yesterday with all the emojis. But I know for me, when I was working out of the house, out of habit, like I would go to work and I would come home, no matter what time I came home, as soon as I came home, my response was to go right to the fridge. I would open the fridge and just grab something. And so many times I would catch myself and I'm like, I'm not even hungry. Like I just ate before I left work and I'm not even hungry, but it was like the emotional eating, right? Because it was habit. It's what I came home and it's just what I did. So it can look.
I did the same thing. So I always have like it's mostly for my husband, but like a drawer that's right when you walk into the kitchen that's full of, I have protein bars in there and that, but I always have candy in there for him. And I would come home from work when I worked in the corporate world and come home from work and I would just and take a handful of candy. And like Lisa said, I didn't need it. I wasn't hungry. It was just the stress habit of doing it and like, to get that little bit of relief, which isn't. But you're not even hungry. You just do it out of habit. It was a habit for me. It's just a habit.
Right. And there are so many reasons as to why we eat, other than actually being hungry, of course, right? We eat out of boredom. We eat out of habit, like Leslie and I both just said. We eat because we're just out socializing and it's what we do. It's kind of like a peer pressure sort of thing. We eat because we need energy. Have you ever noticed if you have not slept well the next day, you're like ravenous. You eat and you tend to eat carbs because they give you energy, right? So because we need energy. But one of the most common issues that we hear when it comes to struggling with weight loss efforts is, or it has a lot to do with emotional eating, right? So why do so many of us struggle with emotional eating, right? We get stressed, we get sad, we get guilty, we feel overwhelmed. Hello, snacks. Like they are right there in our face to comfort us, right? Food is a huge sense of comfort for many of us, right? And the quick release of serotonin that we get from the ice cream or the chips or the chocolate is enough to keep the feelings of overwhelm at bay for a little bit. But then we feel guilty that we just ate all of that, right? And we beat ourselves up for eating all of that. And then, of course, that just drives us to eat even more because it revisits this cycle of emotional eating. So the little bit of stress relief we get by eating is short-lived. And the stress and the feelings leave us wanting more, and the cycle continues. So we've got emotional eating.
We've all been there. We've all done it. But we're going to give you some tips that we use and that have helped us, and that can also help stop that stress eating habit and just create a healthier habits for you guys and produce a healthier you, because that's what you're all here for. It may not even just be for weight loss or fitting your clothes. You just might want to feel better and be healthier and not have to look to those kind of foods to get that boost from. So the first one we're going to talk about is just one. It's always recognize, like in alcohol or whatever, it's like recognize you have a problem. So it's recognize and acknowledge and identify your stress triggers. Okay, you really need to understand what is causing you to do this. So what causes you the stress? Do you have a deadline at work? Is there something coming up that you need to get done? Do you just feel overwhelmed by everything that you have going on? You start the day off with your to-do list and then one thing comes up and you're just overwhelmed. That is a huge one that can cause stress for people. The busy schedule, meal prepping. I have to meal prep. I have to eat this. I have to do this to get the kids off, and then figure out once you have that trigger is why is that causing you stress? We always want to identify our why. We do that with our goals. We do that when you start a journey. Why are you doing this? Why are you here? And you keep revisiting that because you need to keep reminding yourself why you are here in the first place. And the same thing with this, with stressful eating. Why are you stressed? Why does that situation cause you stress? All right, start writing it down. So journaling is amazing. It has great benefits to it. So like we have our food prepping, we write down our recipes, write down our food journals, we write down if we work out, whatever. Write down when you feel stressed and pay attention to how you're feeling in that moment. So when you're grabbing the candy, stop and think, why am I doing this? What's causing this stress? What is the stress trigger? And then pay attention to what you do when you have that stress trigger again. So what's causing you to stress? And then from there, you can start making changes to learn how to adapt to this stressor that comes up. So for example, if you're stressed out at work and your response is to come home, Lisa goes to the fridge, I go for the candy, and then you have that piece of cake and then you make that switch. We'll find out in just a second how to do that. We're telling you that you need to do that switch, but we're going to leave it for a little bit to lead on. So the first one is just identifying, recognizing it, write it down, be in the moment, feel how you do it. And then we're going to teach you how to get out of that stress response. But the second one, Lisa, is what?
Yeah. Well, real quick before we go to the second one, because I'm this type of person, like I know what I need to do. And I know like, all right, writing down what stresses me out, writing down like journaling. I know it's good for me and I know I should do it, but it's work. Right. And I don't do it a lot of times. I'm like, all right, I know I need to do this, but am I actually going to sit down and do it? Probably not. And are you actually going to sit down and do it? Are you going to write down your stressors and really acknowledge it? You might not. But what I want to say is that do it. Just do it. Because you know what? Sometimes I do. And when I do, I'm like, man, I wish I did this stuff more often. I really wish I did this stuff more often. Right. So if you are like me and you are really bad at actually following through and doing it, just do it. Just do it at least once. Like recognize it and do it. And you're going to see what a difference it really can make just by writing it down and acknowledging those things, right? So number 2 is move your body. And this can be taken in a couple of different ways, actually, now that I say that out loud, but move, like take action and move your body, do some jumping jacks, walk around the house, take a few deep breaths, right? Have a quick dance party, whatever you want to do, but move your body because this can break the tension, right? This one immediate, or this one response, this one action, it can break the tension. It breaks the monotony of whatever you're going through. It breaks that mindset. You can clear your mind, you can release all those feel-good hormones and even give you a quick energy burst. A lot of you have probably heard this story, but when I worked at in an office, I would get tired midway through the day. I would get so tired because it was so slow and it was so quiet. And I was always the one willing to do laundry. I'd be like, oh, I'll go do that. And I would go do the laundry because in the laundry room, I would sit there and do 50 jumping jacks because it gave me the energy burst. And then I would come back and be like ready to go. So moving your body does give you that quick energy burst, as silly as it sounds. Chair running, look in the group, because in our 10,000 step challenge the other day, I did a video on ways to get extra steps in those chair runs. A lot of you guys were like, wow, that's really effective. Like you got a lot of steps in, but it also gave you energy bursts. So moving your body can be powerful. Even if you're just like doing whatever little thing for 20 seconds, that's all it takes. It breaks the tension, it clears your mind, and it puts you in a different like frame of mind, right?
And Chelsea said in the group too, she found that, and this is good for those techie phone people, if she put a note in her phone, that was really helpful in the moment, if you don't have time or the motivation to sit and journal. So that is a great thing. Like everybody we usually always have our phones with us. So to make a quick note in there and do that. And then also you guys, when you are making the note of it, like if you're right in the middle of getting ready to grab the cake or grab the candy or open the fridge, and you're writing this down, I guarantee you that you're not going to then do it. You're not going to follow through. Okay, there may be times some people are like, well, I still would, but eventually you won't, because if you're acknowledging that you're stressing and you're about to go in this fridge and eat this, you're gonna be like, okay, don't do it. And then we're giving you these tips and you can move, you can do something else. We're going to give you these little tips, then you can change that. So that's why we tell you to journal too, because it helps with that as well. And then the other thing is going to be just try to replace did you want to say something, Lisa?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. You're on a roll.
Okay. So number 3 is going to be like replace your trigger foods. Okay. Getting rid of all the snacks altogether and restricting yourself can actually make it worse. Remember, we're always about balance, and it's going to worsen that craving. If somebody tells you you can't do something, it's like 2-year-olds, they want to do it and you want to do it more. So what we want to do is if you're craving something, try to replace that with just a healthier alternative, something that actually will help you and not hurt you. So we all have that favorite snack. Some people it might be ice cream, it could be hand candy, it could be whatever. So if you have ice cream as one of your favorite snacks, you guys, there's some you can make a protein shake that's just as thick as a milkshake. You can make protein ice cream. We've done it before with different things. With cottage cheese, we've made like a cottage cheese kind of ice cream with that. It tastes delicious. It's got tons of protein and it'll get you away from the sugary, high carb crap that gives you no benefits to giving you some healthier alternatives. And then for sweets, like a lot of times we just talked about this last night in our planning and prep, we did some cooking with the group, like sweet cravings and stuff. It's like strawberries, like berries with a little bit of whipped cream on it. Like that's fine. The little bit of whipped cream that you're putting on there is better than having the whole piece of cake or having the candy bar or whatever else you're looking for. But you have berries, or I always say berries because they're the lower GI, they're better for you. They don't spike your insulin as much. So a little bowl of berries, some Cool Whip on there, and I put some stevia on for extra sweet. And I am good. I'm good to go. That tastes just as sweet. Do you have anything that you use, Lisa, as an alternative?
Yeah. And while we're talking, I want you guys to put down, what do you normally grab when you're stress eating? Like when you're emotional eating, when you grab that comfort food, like let us know what things you grab, because we can help you find those healthier alternatives, right? Because if you can replace it with something better that can actually benefit you, look, you're going to get better results when you're stressed now, right? Instead of getting that comfort food. So while we're talking, let us know if you've got a comfort food or like a go-to, like this is what I grab, right? Because for me, my thing was always ice cream growing up. Like my dad, like if anything ever happened to us, milkshakes were the answer. Like that is what the answer was. Milkshakes always made us better, happier, right? So now that actually ended up causing a lot more problems, because then I struggled with my weight and everything else. But I love ice cream. So like Leslie said, in this group, actually, if you search cooking demos, you will find my chocolate peanut butter protein shake cooking demo, along with Leslie's high protein quick snack too. So chocolate peanut butter is my jam. That is what I go for in any form, right? So a couple of my suggestions, I make my chocolate peanut butter protein shake that is like legit Wendy's Frosty consistency. Like you can make it really good. And surprisingly, frozen avocado can make that consistency without giving you any of the taste. So look up that recipe, it's in there. But then also like chocolate, if you're a chocolate person, bars of chocolate have tons of sugar. Candy has tons of sugar and junk that you don't need. But if you get like a 92% cacao bar, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're big squares. So what we do for little treats around here is we break off one of those squares and we put peanut butter on it, and boom, we've got chocolate peanut butter. And it's a much healthier option. And then my cottage cheese, like Leslie said, that's one of my go-tos. It's chocolate peanut butter, surprise, surprise, chocolate peanut butter cottage cheese. So there's a lot of good things that you can sneak in, that you can make alternatives for.
People are posting some great stuff. So
yeah.
Chelsea, this sounds really good. Like plain Greek yogurt with berries and a drizzle of local honey. Like, oh, that's so good. That sounds good. Honey is great. Kathy is, again, a comfort food is peanut butter. I said Lisa is a peanut butter girl too. So
my person.
she just gave some awesome recipes and FTS with the peanut butter pie and stuff. And then Chelsea was like Reese's. Quest bar at Quest actually has some really good peanut butter protein peanut butter cups that really taste like a Reese's. Like they're pretty close. So that is
good. But Chelsea, also the suggestions that I just gave are great for you too. Get the 92% cacao bar, put some chocolate on there. Yeah, it's not a Reese's, but it gives you that like satisfying chocolate peanut butter thing. And like Leslie said, the Quest bars, and I even make my own peanut butter cups sometimes too. So
and you can only have a little bit of that really dark chocolate with the peanut butter on it. You can only have a little bit because it's so rich and it's so satisfying that you don't have to worry about it. Like you only have a little bit of that. And Katie was like, for kids' cookies. Well, we have recipes in our FTS for the protein cookies that Lisa and Callie demoed, and those are amazing. And that will replace that. And your kids probably would even like that too. So you can switch that. And then other ones were chocolate bar chips, toast, bagel. So that's surprising because nobody yet has given us a savory type thing or a carby thing. It's all been chocolate peanut butter. But that's a good thing, like the bagel and the toast when you crave that kind of thing. Then you need to go to a better grain or make, what are some good suggestions? There's some cauliflower crackers, like you do cauliflower crackers to get that little bit of a crunch. Or what else do you do? Well, your tofu, crispy tofu. Well, you can make stuff super crispy.
Yeah. And there's also like a lot of times, guys, and we'll get to this too. Well, we'll just go with it now. When you're craving things, like if you have those cravings, it's important to recognize, again, revert back to number one. Why am I craving this? What's the issue here? Why am I craving this? Are you hungry? A lot of times we crave carby foods when we need energy, when we're not sleeping good enough, or when our body needs fuel. So a lot of times we are in this diet mentality where we're restricting our calories, we're restricting what we're eating. So if you're not getting enough nutrients, like I used to think back in my day when I was like trying to learn before I went to school for all this, but when I was trying to learn, I was literally starving myself and I had no clue. I was eating cucumbers and I was eating celery and I was eating peppers and that was like it. So I was so nutrient deprived and I craved carbs all the time. Surprise, surprise. I had no energy. I had no fuel in my body. So again, recognize, am I eating the right way? Am I getting enough protein in? Am I getting enough healthy fats in? Am I eating the right way for my body and for my goals and for what I'm doing? Right? So that's one thing to think about. And then the other thing is deficiencies, right? A lot of times people will crave chocolate and different things when you're deficient in magnesium, which most of us are actually deficient in magnesium, right? We've talked about this before too. But so recognize those things. And then when it does come to carbs, if you're just having that craving where you're just like, I just want it, there are things like the protein bread from Aldi's. It's a different texture than regular like white bread. So if you're thinking about the white bread, it's not the same texture, okay? But it is good. I love the seediness of it. So that's a good one. Leslie's made her cottage cheese bread. That recipe is in the FTS database as well. And then I made a recipe with Greek yogurt and self-rising flour, or you can use almond flour and some baking powder, but it makes an awesome dough. So you can make bagels out of that. You can make pizza crust out of it. That's what we made. You can make bagels. You can make all the things. So there are some good alternatives. You just got to put a little bit of work in finding those alternatives. So like Leslie said, it's important to have a list of those trigger foods and what you can replace. When I'm craving this, when I want to go for this and I'm still breaking that habit, here's what I'm going to go for instead.
So what I was going to say too is when we talk about deficiencies and stuff, I'll put a list together and post it under this here, because there's always some good ideas. Like if you crave this, you're lacking this type of thing. Always make sure you have a good multivitamin and a variety of food. That's what we try to get you to have, a lot of veggies and fruits and different types of foods that you're getting a wide variety of nutrients, because that's a lot of times is that your body's telling you you're lacking stuff. But sometimes it's because you're stressed and that's a normal habit for you too. So it goes both ways, but I'll put a little list of a couple common things. I mean, it's common chocolate with magnesium. We kind of know that, and Lisa's right. We're all deficient in that. We've talked about that many times. So I will do a little list for you guys and put it below. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's true and that's what you're lacking, but it will give you kind of a general, it's kind of fun just to go look, and then it will give you better alternatives to take if you're craving this type of food. So I'll make sure I like that together.
Definitely. And those are always interesting to see too, because sometimes you look and you're like, wow, like I really am deficient in that. And like, you just don't even acknowledge that. Right. So again,
and that happens with restriction. So like we said, when you're restricting food groups, and that's the problem with restricting food groups. If you go fat super low, like we used to do no fat craze and whatever, heart disease, if you drop your fat, well, it hasn't changed anything. Heart disease is still #1 with cancer up there, but it's like it hasn't changed. So that didn't work. Then you're going to crave fat, you're missing fat, your hair's going to fall out, like all these different things if you're low in fat, and then they say, no carbs, take all the carbs away. Then people are binging and you're craving it, and then you're miserable. I mean, you have no energy to do anything. I mean, so there are all these things. That's why we really preach food freedom and balance, you guys. You can really have a variety of foods and foods that you like. Yes, we'll make some healthy alternatives, but there's times when if you really want something, it's okay to have that one piece of cake at the party. Just don't have 10, don't have 2. Don't go to a party and say, I'm gonna have a piece of cake, and then you eat everything else that's on the table, because then you've gone overboard, and then that's a binge thing. Allow yourself a little bit and take it, and then move on. But that's digressing to something different. We're talking about that, but the point of it is that when you food restrict things too much, it just makes things worse. So don't do that either.
It does. And when I was learning how to be healthy, like, again, remember, we've been on the journey that you guys are on now. And we're still on this journey, right? It's like a lifelong thing. But when I was in college, I had severe sugar addictions. Like, it sounds kind of silly, but I really did. I had major sugar addictions. And I always craved sugar and chocolate and all of those things. So when I was in college, I was really, really trying to teach myself to have self-discipline. So I would buy the king size Hershey bar, like the king size ones had 5 little squares in each row. So I would allow myself 5 squares a day. And then it taught me to discipline myself. Like, I know that I always want them after dinner, so I saved some for after dinner. But I only got those 5. So if I ate them all, then I got no more for the day. So it taught me to space them out. Then I would cut it down to 4. And it never felt like restrictions because I was always allowed to have it, right? Then I cut it down to 3. And then when I was only eating 2, I was like, oh, I made it through a couple days without having 3. Then I cut it down to 2. And I remember like getting through a day and being like, oh, I didn't even crave my chocolate anymore. So it's just like weaning yourself out. When you restrict yourself, the inner 4-year-old comes out of us where we're like, I want it more. You tell me I can't have it, I want it more, right? So it's important to not just restrict and cut out, like Leslie said, but find those healthier alternatives and wean yourself down, right? And that kind of leads right into number 4, which is find an alternative to stress eating. It doesn't have to be an alternative food, but find an alternative to stress eating, right? Recognize, now that you've recognized your stressors and you understand your response to those stressors. So for me, that might be my stressor is coming home from work, right? Like, I had a day at work, I'm tired. My stressor is coming home from work. My response is going to the fridge. So what can I do in place of that? And then you take action. Right? So write a list out if you have to, and comment here, like, let us know what some of your alternatives would be. But the first one that I think of is drink water, because so many times if we are dehydrated, which so many people walk around dehydrated every single day, like, look at your pee next time you go to the bathroom. If it's not because of your multivitamin, but it's yellow, you're not drinking enough water. So do the pee check. If it's clear, you're doing pretty good. If not, you need to drink more water. But when we are thirsty, most of you guys know this already, our body tricks us, or our brain tricks us and tells us we're hungry. So then we end up eating more to try to satisfy that thirst, right? So drink water.
Sorry, I talk about drinking water, and I have a funny, this is probably TMI, but I have a funny story about that, checking your urine, because we check our urine, right? And I remember going in our small bathroom in the kitchen area or whatever, and I went to the bathroom, got up, and then when I looked, I'm like it was almost orange, like it was a darker color. I started panicking. I'm like, are my kidneys okay? Or like whatever. Like, I started like thinking, I think I drank enough water today. And I'm going through, yeah, I had like 80 ounces of water already or whatever. My husband went and never flushed this men because he doesn't want the cost of flushing the tank. He left it, and it was his urine. Oh, I know it sounds gross, but I'm like, I was panicking because I look at my urine, and that's because he didn't flush the stupid toilet and was sitting in there. And I'm thinking, he's dehydrated. I'm not. And I know he is. But that's just a funny thing. And that it happened the other day. And I was like panicking and drinking some more water, thinking it was me. And then I had to check because that toilet bowl didn't have like the blue fresh in it. Because usually all my toilets have like, the colored water, so you can't really see. And that was the first time in that bathroom I could see it. And then I was like, I freaked out for a second, but that's just.
Yes, my kids do the same thing, Leslie. So like, my kids will go to the bathroom, they won't flush. And then I go in, I'm like, who peed last? And they'll be like, Kobe did. I'm like, you need to go drink water. And I'll walk out and I'll give him his water. I'm like, have that drink by the time I get out of here. Like, but
Yeah.
You can see the dehydration, right? And you function, even a 2% drop in your hydration levels can cause brain fog. You're not thinking as clearly, can cause memory issues, right? Your memory's impaired, your cognitive function's impaired, your muscle function is impaired, like all of these things just by a 2% drop in hydration, right? So, or dehydrated. So it's important to drink water.
Yes. And sometimes if I'm not drinking as much at night, if I wake up, sometimes I'll wake up with a headache. The first thing in the morning I always do is I grab a thing of salt and I drink some water. And before I don't like to take medication or anything. I'm like, okay, this could be sinus. I have a lot of allergies. Before I do anything, I'll drink 16 ounces of water. I'll slowly do it with a little bit of salt. And within like 10 to 15 minutes, my headache is gone, because it's usually a dehydration type of thing. So try that if you're having a headache or you feel down or sluggish, instead of going for the caffeine and whatever. Because remember, we talked about when you drink caffeine, you're making your adrenals work. That's where you get the push from. It's stimulating your adrenal glands to push out. So we don't want to keep putting all that pressure on our adrenals, and then they're going to blow, you're going to get adrenal fatigue, and we don't want that either. So drink water, because it does pick your mood up. And you know, I'm big on my little crystal salt, Himalayan or Celtic salt, put it in your mouth, absorption, get it in your cells, get all the minerals, the trace minerals in there will also help if you're lacking magnesium and all these other things. So just some tips for that too.
Yeah, and those are great tips. People who have done it are like, wow, like they can see the difference. So find an alternative, right? Drink water, start with that. It doesn't have to be food related either. Read a book, go for a walk, get a quick workout in. Like I said a few minutes before, like these kind of go hand in hand. Even a 20-second burst of anything will give you that adrenaline rush and that serotonin boost and everything. You can journal, take pictures, call a friend, draw, go for like do work, whatever. Like find what works for you. Find something that de-stresses you. Maybe you put on some music. Maybe you have some quiet time, whatever it is, like do you, but find an alternative, right? So you want to identify what is causing you stress, why you're feeling stressed, right? If your kids are causing you stress, why do you feel stressed, right? Like I actually did some reflection this week, and I feel stressed when my kids are home and when I'm trying to work. And you know, one thing that I realize really stresses me out, if there is clutter or disorganization, or I am not planned for the week, I feel stressed, right? So not planning really, really stresses me out. I have to know my plan. I have to know like my time frame and everything like that. And when I don't, my life feels chaotic and I feel stressed, and I'm always like, feel like I'm go, 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 right? So in reflection, like in response to that, we have to have our planning time for the week. And we teach this in our 90-day intensive, like exactly how to do this, exactly how to schedule and how to plan things out and actually create more time in your day. But by planning and doing all of that, then I instantly eliminate that stress, right? If my kids are stressing me out, why are they stressing me out? Because they have no structure right now. If I just took the 2 minutes to say, here, do this, set them up with Play-Doh or something, and then continue to work, it would go much easier. But if I sit here and battle them, so recognize the stressor, write it out, reflect, why am I feeling stressed? What can I do to help this situation, right? Be problem solvers, not emotional responders. So problem solve. And then you want to move your body, do something active, move your body. We are going to feel a lot more stress buildup when we are inactive, when we are sedentary. So move your body. And then number 3, replace your food triggers with healthier alternatives. And then number 4, find an alternative thing to do. Get out of the kitchen, get away from it, do something else. I don't even want to say find a distraction, because we don't just want to distract, but we want to create new habits. So create those new habits, and then you're going to find yourself emotionally eating less and less and less and benefiting from your choices more and more and more. Then you're going to be saying, I am a fit, healthy person because I'm doing fit, healthy things. So there we have it.
Yep, that's it, guys. To the point. We gave you a lot of things to think about, a lot of things that you can work on. So if you have any other questions, or you did some of the things we suggested and they worked, post it under this coaching call and let people know, hey, I tried that and it worked. I did this and it worked. So make sure you let us know those things too. And as always, give us suggestions for the next coaching call. We come weekly. So let us know what else you want to hear from. Otherwise, we'll just pick for the many questions that we get on a daily basis. But we would love to hear specifically from you that attend these groups. What do you want to hear? And we'd be happy to address them for you.
And give us your comments. Again, even if you've already watched this, and like Leslie said, if you tried something, or if you're like, oh yeah, these are the things that really help me feel less stressed, or these could go on my list of alternatives, let us know, because when we share, that is how we help others. And that is the power of a community and the power of your tribe, because we are constantly helping each other, self-coaching, and making progress together as a group. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in live. And we will catch you on the next call. And we'll see you in the group.
Have a good weekend. Enjoy the time.
All right. Bye, everyone.